coming up on May 15th and 16th is a very rare and powerful astrological alignment. We have a super full moon and lunar eclipse, and the main theme here is transformation and acceleration into the next level of your potential, the next level of your personal evolution to be experienced internally within your sense of self, your identity, and your emotional body, as well as in your life. Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you 3 things I think you should know about this powerful full moon and lunar eclipse happening on May 15th and 16th, 2022. Number 1, heightened emotional awareness. I'm filming this video probably a full week prior, and I would bet a lot of you at the time of seeing this are already feeling feelings from the past coming up in kind of an obvious, sometimes all-consuming way. Once in a while, when we are ready to go to the next level of our personal evolution, which usually results in like a tangible advancement in life, a career jump as an example, something like that. Prior to that, there's like an emotional cleanse. And it's for a good reason. It's so that we can handle and embody and sustain this like new level, this new version of us that we are now ripe for, that is now there for the taking. But that emotional processing, you could say, it can be kind of tough. It can be intense, and it can be all-consuming for a short while as those emotions are making their way out of your system for good. So I'll give an example from my own life. Not too long ago, like last week, in fact, I was hanging out with my wife, Patty, and we were having a day, like a day date, we call it. And for whatever reason, I felt like she wanted to like play her music and do certain things on her own a little bit more than normal. Nothing at all out of the ordinary. But that behavior of her just so happened to synchronistically coincide with these old, sort of painful feelings that were just coming up for me at the time. And those feelings in particular have to do with my like earlier childhood relationships. There was a couple of times where I was really in love with somebody, and I could start to intuitively tell they were becoming more distant from me, and they were like losing interest in me, and I could feel it. And it caused me to feel like, what's wrong with me, and reject it. And it was just a very painful type of feeling that all of a sudden, this last Monday, was coming up intensely at the perfect timing when Patty was kind of creating a little normal, healthy, no big deal type of distance. But the combination of the mirror, Patty's situation for my emotions, and just the potency in which I was feeling those emotions, it felt like, oh my God, I felt overwhelming. And the whole time, I knew what was happening. I knew Patty was not doing anything out of the ordinary. I knew it was just my shit coming up. But because it was so powerfully coming up for me, I couldn't really handle it or manage it well. I couldn't help but go into like defense mode and put up a wall and get kind of quiet and recluse. And those are like my coping skills for that type of energy a long time ago. But anyway, the point of me saying this is, number 1, it was rough on me. It literally, like, that emotion took me over for about 2.5, 3 days. And when it was taking me over, I felt like, I know this is not me. I know this is an old emotion, but I don't know what to do. And I don't know if, I didn't have very much hope for being able to do anything with it. And I felt like it's here to stay, and it's just going to continue to ruin my life. Until finally, at such time, I finally went out back into my porch and looked out at these like trees, and I prayed. I said, man, God, higher self, what do I do? I don't want to feel this way anymore. I know it's just an old pattern, an old wound coming up, but I don't know how to let it go. I don't know how to move on from it. Please help me. It didn't just magically go away, but shortly after that, certain things unfolded, certain insights came in, and I found not only did that energy release itself out of my system, and I felt like, whoa, I felt really good. Once we let go of a big energy like that and have a big healing, it's like you tap back into yourself and you feel kind of electrified with positive energy. That happened to me. But more importantly, I found myself able to really let go and trust and feel way safer in my marriage. That circumstance, that process was very uncomfortable, very unpleasant, very intense. But not only is it gone, and I feel like a true conclusion with that type of pattern in my life, and my relationship, my situation that, is still maybe being affected by that old pattern is so unspeakably transformed. Like the other night we just hugged, and I felt like I was finally, for the first time in like 17, 18 years we've been together total, married about 15, for like the first time I was able to really just let go and let myself feel safe and let myself feel the love for my wife. So the payoff is so totally worth it. Is kind of the reason I went on at length about that, my friends, if you find yourself in it right now. Number 2, leveling up and going for your dreams. All of this I'm going to say in this full moon and eclipse reading is all connected to this final outcome of you becoming a stronger, more authentic, more radiant version of yourself and feeling the positive life changes on all levels that results. But to get to that point, it requires maybe a bit of an emotional purge. And again, number 2, leveling up. As I mentioned, what I mean by that is you might find yourself where you're able to advance your life in some way, but it will require a more dialed in version of yourself. Some of maybe the old habits and patterns and beliefs and just tendencies, they may or may not be able to make the cut. They might have to go. You might have to become maybe a bit more disciplined, maybe a bit, just more professional, more mature, more dialed in, more where your lifestyle is representative of like where you're at spiritually. Sometimes we will grow spiritually first and then have to kind of like pick up the pace with the other areas of our life that maybe are representations of like the old, less evolved version of ourselves. So I'll give an example. Just a couple of days ago, my wife and I did our biggest live breathwork session ever. We hold these breathwork ceremonies, and they're beautiful and powerful. And like several months ago, we did one in Costa Rica for 40 people, and that was the biggest one. It was awesome. But this time, we did it for like 80 plus people, and it was a huge deal. It's a very deep thing we take people through, and we take it very seriously. And anyway, I just felt in my own life intuitively that if I can't just show up and wing this. There are 80 people that are like trusting in me and my wife to do this with them. So never before have I studied my speech and my script, you could say. Never before have I put more thought and time into like the playlist. We played different types of music, and I literally went through every single song, and I almost like played out the whole ceremony in my mind first to see how it felt. And I just put like 10 times more, I took it like 10 times more seriously because it was a leveling up experience for me. And that was just like my natural behavior. Anyway, when we finally came down to do the breathwork ceremony, it was the most powerful, the deepest one we have ever done, hands down. And me and Patty, we were able to really like enjoy watching ourselves blossom in a way. But again, it didn't just happen. It didn't happen because the full moon came and miraculously did this thing. We had to kind of work with the energies and make it happen ourselves. But we did, and we got to experience ourselves at this new level of experience and wisdom and power, you could say, with one of our dreams, with one of our, things that we love so much. So you might find yourself becoming aware of areas of your own life where you can improve. Maybe it's like you can start getting up earlier, and that's going to really affect your peace of mind and your flow all throughout the day. And it's like a week to really like go into your phone and set the freaking alarm and like make it happen in a very physical way. Or maybe it's like you need to like start eating better food, start eating cleaner foods, because you're suddenly realizing that some of the foods you're eating, even though they're not horrible, they're putting you in kind of a foggy state of mind. If you ate more like, raw fruits and vegetables and like healthy foods, you'd be more on point. My point is, it's a week to make those sort of simple, human, positive lifestyle changes and really take your dreams, take your goals very, very seriously. And if you do that, hard work will pay off. It's a very positive energy, a very uplifting energy, but we have to meet it halfway. And my friends, number 3, attracting your soul family. This has been quite a theme all year, really. And what I want to say in particular about this is I almost want to reword what I said. I said attracting your soul family. Now, on one hand, what I found is that even though I went for a long time on my spiritual journey, especially feeling alone, feeling like nobody's ever going to understand me, like I'm not going to really have any friends, like I felt like everyone's low vibe and, we're not going to connect, that kind of thing. And then there did come a day where all of a sudden there's all these beautiful souls in my life, these friends that I just have like a strong connection with. And literally many of them like an intuitive, almost like an intuitive memory of how I know them. For example, my friend Aaron Dowdy, he's like a brother. He's like a brother to me. I have these 3 younger guys I work with. They're my friends, Josh, Chase, Forrest, Roy, people like that. You don't know them. They're just people in my life, but they're younger. They're like in their earlier 20s. And to me, it's as weird as it sounds, I feel like they are a son to me. I feel like I was their father in other years and other lifetimes. And there's just this fatherly love I have for them, a brotherly love for Aaron. My wife, we've been soulmates, we've been together many, many lifetimes. And there's like an intimate sort of love for her and my children and even other friends, even just random sort of people. I just have like a friendship connection. Like I know I've been friends with you in other lives. And it's not important that you know the origin. This could very well be wrong. I could be wrong about this, but regardless, there's like different flavors of a very deep, real, soulful love that I have for now a lot of people in my life who are my friends and acquaintances and people I work with. And it's just so amazing. But what I said there is like, one day they were just kind of there. Now, like I said before with like point number two, leveling up, it's kind of a balancing act. It's not that I just attracted them. On some level, yes. But in a sense, I put myself in a situation where that was bound and destined to happen. I met them halfway. So you might find yourself given the opportunity to make the changes within yourself, within your own life, your own circumstance, so that the result will be you will find these types of folks will come into your life as well. But like for me as an example, I moved. I was living in Michigan most of my life, and now I moved quite a few times actually, but I'm in Austin now, Austin, Texas. And all of my soul family has moved to Austin. It's crazy. There's like 10, 15 of us, and it's like really, really almost trippy how we all felt kind of guided to move. But the point is we all moved. It wasn't until I moved that I, of course, had a realistic chance to meet certain people. I took action. And it's not even about moving necessarily. It's about living an authentic life. There can be a time where you start to wake up and realize that my job, where I live, the people I'm around, I don't care for it. It's not real. It's not authentic. It's where I am. It's where I ended up. But if I had my conscious choosing, this would not be the way it is. And within that, though, is like, well, what do you want? Where do you want to live? What kind of folks do you want around? What kind of job do you want to have? And it's about like making that happen within yourself and not just waiting for it to be attracted. And it will require action. It will require for a lot of you a lot of courage, because when you start to build up your life consciously from a place of authenticity, usually it's not a guarantee. There's not usually enough of a game plan or a sure thing. And you got to kind of like move towards these new directions that resonate more and they feel more like you, but it takes a lot of faith and it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of trust in just a divine process. And that's not easy. It's not easy. And you might find yourself in that situation. Like, you'd be happier with a different career. And that's a tough pill to swallow. You're not happy in your community. Maybe it's like you're realizing it's kind of like negative and there's a lot of like negative people around. You want to be in a place that's more open, maybe accepting. That was a big thing for me. I wanted to be around people that weren't so judgy, essentially, from the particular city I used to live in compared to now in Austin, where it's like there's a slogan, keep Austin weird or something, where everyone's kind of a weirdo, and that's cool. You fit right in if you're a weirdo in Austin. And I felt that same way in San Diego, other place I live. But the point is, like, making these moves they're very real and they're very scary and they're very like require a jumping into the unknown. But this full moon is going to give you the awareness. It's going to give you awareness of the emotions no longer serving you, that are not really you. They're just patterns. It's going to make you aware of things you can do in your practical life that will allow you to shift. And will also make you aware of maybe like changes you need to make, like bigger changes, like moving as an example that you need to make. And all of this can feel kind of emotionally and it's very overwhelming. But with this energy is also an awareness that you're ready, that it's time, that you can do it and you will succeed. And it's a time to really tap into your courage, tap into your power. And don't just dream, do. Don't just think, but be. It's time to be your real self and whatever that means. It's time to take your dreams and yourself very seriously. And if you can do that, there's a very supportive energy with this eclipse. It's not all just awareness. It's like awareness with support, awareness with the right time to make the move, to make the shift, to make the change, to let go of the pattern. It's a very, very powerful, very, very transformative energy, my friend. Okay, before I let you go, my friends, I'm going to give you a tip of the week, a simple tip that will help you make the most out of and navigate through this type of full moon and eclipse energy. And the tip of the week is going to be something you maybe don't want to hear, but I believe it'll serve you anyway, so I'm going to say it. It's this. It's don't be afraid to go into the tension. As sensitive spiritual people, we oftentimes like to avoid tension or, uncomfortable frequencies, if you will. But as you may have learned, as I have learned many times in my life, that in avoiding the tension, it usually attracts even more tension. For example, a simple sort of universal example is when you know something needs to be said to somebody relationship you have. Like there's an uncomfortable conversation you feel like you should have because maybe they're doing something that you don't like. But to be nice, to avoid that uncomfortable conversation, you avoid it. And then of course that unresolved energy will just build and build and build until it's thrown into your face in a much more messy way. So this sort of eclipse and full moon energy can kind of be uncomfortable sometimes. It can compel you to go outside of your comfort zone and go into the tension where you should go. You'll just know it. And it's not a time to avoid that, okay? A perfect example is like my daughter today. She woke up. She's 12. She said, "Dad, I'm stressed. I don't want to go to school today. Can I have a mental health day?" Me and my wife we looked at each other and we both agreed that, no, you have to go to school. I'm sorry you're stressed, but it's not a good idea to get in the habit of avoiding things because you're not feeling good, because you're not always going to feel good in life. When I did that breathwork ceremony I mentioned before, there was nervousness. There was a nervousness going up, and it would have been really nice to avoid that and just watch Netflix all day. But you know what? On the other side of that nervousness was satisfaction and purpose and healing, actually, for a lot of people in this particular situation. And just a feeling of pride, being proud of myself, and just awesomeness on many levels came on the other side of that tension. Now is the time to be like a buffalo. Buffalo, yes. I've said this before on my YouTube channel. Some of you, the people who know me, they've heard this, but it bears repeating because it's a very good, powerful analogy. Buffaloes, when they can see a storm on the horizon, they actually will change where they're going and they will run towards the storm. Now, why would they do that? Well, it's because they know that's the fastest way through the storm. They don't avoid it. They don't run away from it. They go into the storm because it's the smartest way to get to the sunshine. And what I found is, like, during full moons and eclipses, it can make you very emotionally sensitive, very very emotionally sensitive and less impervious to the just different tensions that can come about in just through normal life circumstances. But now is the time to put on your captain hat and go into the tension and just sort of don't be pushed around by your anxiety. Don't be pushed around by other people's anxiety. Hold your frame. You might feel uncomfortable in your frame, but it's the time to hold your frame and to be strong and root your feet into the soil, so to speak, and just be like a tree. Be like an oak, a solid, tall oak tree. Storms can come on, but the roots are deep. The trunk is sturdy. And even though the leaves are flying all over the place and you can feel it as a tree, you know you're good. Okay, that's my advice to you, my friends, and I wish you well. You can take it for what it's worth. Have an amazing week. I wish you absolutely nothing but the best. I really believe this is going to be a very powerful and transformative and forward-moving and really awesome week, and I really believe in every one of you can manifest your dreams and really live a life that is beyond what you ever thought is possible. That's what this spiritual awakening can do. It can show you your power, show you what you're capable of experiencing and how good you can feel about yourself and life, and you all can do it. And I wish you nothing but the best. Much love to you all.